Imagine a world where the greatest enemy to progress, civilization, and even personal happiness is not malice, greed, or even corruption, but sheer, unadulterated stupidity. It lurks in boardrooms, classrooms, political offices, and even in the highest echelons of power. Stupidity does not discriminate, it afflicts the rich, the poor, the educated, and the uneducated alike. It is an ever-present force shaping history in ways that are often more destructive than intentional evil. But why is stupidity such a pervasive and influential force? And more importantly, what does it mean to be a fool? Today, we embark on an intellectual journey to decode the psychology of a fool and the deep-seated theory of stupidity. Kindly subscribe to our channel for more philosophy and psychology videos. The concept of stupidity has fascinated great thinkers for centuries. From philosophers like Arthur Schopenhauer to modern economists like Carlo Cipolla, the nature of foolishness has been scrutinized from multiple angles. And yet, stupidity remains an enigma, an omnipresent, insidious force that affects not only individuals but entire societies. But what if I told you that stupidity isn't just a lack of intelligence? What if foolishness is a psychological phenomenon with clear patterns, predictable behaviors, and even structured laws governing its impact? By the end of this video, you'll never see stupidity the same way again. Before we dive into modern theories, let us first visit an ancient parable that perfectly encapsulates the psychology of a fool. The story of the foolish Brahmin from ancient India tells of a naive but well-intentioned priest. He was wise in scripture but utterly devoid of common sense. One day, a cunning thief disguised himself as a holy man and convinced the Brahmin that his goat was possessed by evil spirits. Despite clear evidence to the contrary, the Brahmin abandoned the goat, which the thief immediately took for himself. This story reflects a crucial aspect of stupidity. It is not always about a lack of intelligence but rather a willingness to ignore reason and succumb to manipulation. Stupidity is not about the absence of knowledge but the failure to use it. Dietrich Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity suggests that stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of good than outright malice because it is resistant to reason and logic. In his reflections, particularly from letters and papers from prison, Bonhoeffer argues that stupidity is not merely an intellectual deficiency but a moral and social condition that arises within groups and under oppressive systems. He observes that intelligent people can become stupid when they conform uncritically to dominant ideologies, surrendering their capacity for independent thought. This phenomenon is particularly evident in authoritarian societies, where individuals defer their moral and intellectual judgment to the ruling powers. The more someone becomes part of a collective mindset, the less they engage in personal reflection or critical analysis, making them susceptible to manipulation. Unlike evil, which can be confronted and fought against, stupidity is immune to rational argument because the stupid person is unaware of their own intellectual and moral corruption. They become tools of greater powers, blindly following directives without questioning their implications. This makes stupidity even more dangerous than malice, as malicious people at least act with intent, while stupid people unknowingly perpetuate harm under the guise of obedience or righteousness. Bonhoeffer also emphasizes that stupidity is not a permanent or inherent trait but rather a condition that people can fall into under certain social and psychological pressures. He suggests that power, whether political, social, or institutional, plays a significant role in fostering stupidity. When individuals are placed under authoritarian rule or groupthink, they often relinquish their ability to think critically and act autonomously, instead adopting simplistic narratives provided by those in control. Stupidity, in this sense, is not about a lack of knowledge but an unwillingness to engage with truth and reason. This makes it incredibly difficult to challenge, as the stupid person does not see themselves as lacking understanding but rather as being on the right side of history. The solution, Bonhoeffer implies, is not merely education in the conventional sense but fostering a culture of courage, responsibility, and independent thought. Only through moral clarity and intellectual integrity can societies resist the dangers of collective stupidity, which so often enables oppression and injustice to thrive. Carlo Cipolla, an Italian economic historian, proposed what is now considered one of the most compelling and insightful theories of stupidity. He argued that stupidity is not a random occurrence, rather, it follows a distinct pattern governed by certain fundamental laws. Cipolla outlined 5 essential laws of stupidity, each revealing its dangerous and often underestimated nature. According to him, stupid individuals are far more dangerous than criminals because their actions are not guided by rational self-interest. A thief, for example, operates with a clear goal, gaining personal benefit, even at the expense of others. However, the actions of a fool do not follow any logical pattern. Instead, they often harm not just others but also themselves. This creates a paradox where stupidity, despite being mindless and lacking intentional malice, becomes a force of extraordinary destruction. Its consequences can ripple through society, causing chaos and setbacks that are difficult to anticipate or prevent. The unpredictability of stupidity makes it a unique threat, one that surpasses even calculated wrongdoing in its capacity to cause widespread harm. The first law of stupidity states, always and inevitably, everyone underestimates the number of stupid individuals in circulation. This suggests that stupidity is far more prevalent than we assume. No matter how much we try to rationalize human behavior or account for logical decision-making, there will always be an overwhelming number of people who act irrationally. Stupidity is not confined to any single group or demographic, it permeates every aspect of life and exists in every corner of society. We often believe that certain environments, such as elite institutions, corporate boardrooms, or academic circles, are immune to foolishness. However, Cipolla warns that this is a dangerous assumption. Stupidity lurks in places where we least expect it, which is precisely why its impact is so underestimated. The failure to acknowledge this reality blinds us to the dangers posed by foolish individuals, allowing them to wield influence and make decisions that can lead to disastrous outcomes. Recognizing the sheer scale of stupidity is the first step toward mitigating its power. The second law of stupidity asserts, the probability that a person is stupid is independent of any other characteristic. This is perhaps one of the most unsettling realizations in Cipolla's theory. Unlike other traits that correlate with factors such as education, social status, intelligence, or professional success, stupidity knows no boundaries. It is not limited to the uneducated or the uninformed. On the contrary, it frequently manifests in people who hold significant power, influence, and credentials. Some of the most devastating decisions in history have been made not by the ignorant but by individuals who were perceived as highly intelligent. A person can possess academic degrees, wealth, or political authority and still fall victim to remarkably foolish thinking. This explains why even leaders, scientists, and philosophers, individuals whom society regards as wise, have been responsible for errors that led to catastrophic consequences. The key takeaway from this law is that intelligence does not grant immunity from stupidity, rather, it often enables individuals to rationalize their own foolishness in more complex ways. The third law provides a precise definition of stupidity. A stupid person is someone who causes damage to another person or group while deriving no benefit themselves, even possibly harming themselves in the process. This is what distinguishes stupidity from ignorance or simple mistakes. Ignorance can be remedied with knowledge, and mistakes can serve as learning experiences, but true stupidity is immune to both logic and correction. A foolish person not only refuses to learn from their blunders but also persists in behaviors that are self-destructive and detrimental to others. They repeat the same errors, dragging others down in their wake. A classic example of this can be seen in financial markets, where stubborn investors refuse to heed warning signs, holding on to failing stocks out of sheer arrogance. In doing so, they not only suffer financial ruin themselves but also pull entire companies and employees into the abyss. This phenomenon is not limited to economics, it is evident in politics, relationships, and everyday interactions where individuals act in ways that defy both reason and self-preservation. The fourth law of stupidity warns, non-stupid people always underestimate the power of stupid individuals. This is one of the most dangerous aspects of stupidity, as intelligent and rational individuals often fail to grasp just how destructive foolishness can be. There is a tendency to assume that stupidity can be reasoned with or contained through logic, persuasion, or institutional safeguards. However, history has repeatedly shown that stupidity is an untamed force, irrational, unpredictable, and immune to logic. This explains why nations have suffered under the rule of incompetent leaders, why corporations have collapsed due to foolish decision-making, and why people continuously fall victim to scams and manipulation. Time and again, intelligent individuals assume they can outmaneuver or correct the mistakes of fools, only to be blindsided by the sheer magnitude of their recklessness. Fools do not act within the realm of rational expectations, which makes them a unique and formidable threat. Recognizing that stupidity operates beyond reason is crucial for mitigating its impact before it spirals out of control. The fifth and final law of stupidity states, a stupid person is the most dangerous type of person. Unlike criminals, who act with clear objectives and a sense of personal gain, stupid individuals act without strategy, logic, or awareness of the consequences of their actions. Their unpredictability makes them impossible to counteract effectively. Criminals can be negotiated with, reasoned with, or deterred by threats of punishment, but fools operate outside these parameters. They create chaos not out of malice but out of an inability to comprehend the damage they cause. History provides numerous examples of civilizations, economies, and institutions being undermined not by acts of deliberate evil but by the compounded effects of widespread stupidity. Wars have been fought, economies have collapsed, and countless lives have been ruined due to the decisions of individuals who had no ill intent but were simply foolish beyond measure. This is why Cipolla argues that stupidity has played a far greater role in shaping history than intentional malice. Its power lies in its randomness, its resilience, and the fact that it is almost always underestimated. Understanding these 5 laws of stupidity is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is a crucial step in recognizing and defending against one of the most persistent and destructive forces in human history. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer had his own views on stupidity. He believed that stupidity is deeply linked to human arrogance and the inability to recognize one's limitations. According to Schopenhauer, the fool is not just someone who lacks knowledge but someone who refuses to question their own beliefs. This makes stupidity almost incurable, as fools reject wisdom and cling to their ignorance. In a paradoxical twist, stupidity often wields immense power. History has shown that fools can rise to the highest positions in society. Why? Because stupidity, unlike intelligence, is self-assured. The fool never doubts himself, while the wise constantly question their own understanding. This is known as the Dunning-Kruger effect, where those with the least ability overestimate their competence, while the truly knowledgeable doubt themselves. Stupidity thrives in systems where confidence is mistaken for competence. Many political leaders, business executives, and influencers gain authority not because they are intelligent, but because they are unshakably certain of their own flawed beliefs. This creates a cycle where foolishness reinforces itself, gaining more power over time. So where does this leave us? Understanding stupidity is not just about recognizing foolish behavior, it is about protecting ourselves from its consequences. By studying the psychology of a fool and the laws of stupidity, we can navigate the world more wisely, avoid the traps of ignorance, and perhaps even outmaneuver the powerful yet mindless forces that shape history. Stupidity is dangerous, but knowledge is power. Use it wisely. This is the Beyond the Surface channel. Like the video. Share it with a friend and subscribe for more videos on philosophy and psychology. Thank you for watching.